This is the TempWise assistant from Team Empty Nest. Team Empty Nest is Brady, Nathan, Miles, Tiara, Ashton, and Glenn. Our client for this project is Zachary Whidden.
Okay, so Google does already have the functionality to allow you to see your Google Nest thermostat's temperature and even change it remotely, primarily through the Google Home app. But what our goal is to try to add extra functionality on top of that. And to do that, we have to integrate into Google's API and actually be able to save your temperature at certain intervals so that you can graph it over time. And this allows us the flexibility to eventually add more features if we would like to later, like helping you better predict which how long it will take for your thermostat to change temperatures by using your previous data as opposed to going with their default way of predicting it regardless of outside temperature, and allows to integrate some Google Nest features into other features like checking your local temperature.
So there are three main features we want our application to be able to do. First of all, we want our user to be able to log in with their Google account and access however many Nest thermostats are associated with it. And then with those Nest accounts, we want the user to be able to change the temperature of each individual Nest thermostat using our application. Second, we want the user to be able to set a job that actually logs the temperature of a Nest device at a specified interval in our database, say over minutes, days, weeks, months, whatever the user wants. And we want the data that is being sent, that is, given from our data, that is being sent back from our database to be, presented in a graph. And third, we also want to set a job that will set the temperature at a specific interval.
All right, for our technologies used in this project, we're using React for the front end, Django and SQLite for backend and database. We're also going to be pinging Google Identity Service and their Smart Device Management API to get access to the user's Google account and the data from their Google Nest. And then finally, we're going to be using AP Scheduler to ping the Google Nest at periods of time to get data at certain periods and certain intervals. And we're going to be using Rechart, which is a React library to chart out the data that we get from the Google Nest.
This is our architecture diagram. As mentioned before, we are using React for our front end and Django for our back end. When the user logs into our app, a request is made to Google Services to retrieve their account and Nest info. Upon a successful login, the information, including the user's access tokens for their Nest devices, are returned to React into the auth context. Those tokens are used when sending requests to Google to retrieve the thermostat information, including the device's current temperature and humidity. Those tokens are also used to control the thermostat. Through Axios requests, necessary information such as the user's access tokens are sent to Django for the purpose of logging device temperatures into the database. When the user schedules a temp listener, those tokens are handed off to an AP Scheduler job. AP Scheduler is the library we are using for executing functions over time. For example, AP Scheduler will be used if the user wants to record temperature every 30 minutes. Those tokens are passed to an AP Scheduler job, and the job is then set to run every 30 minutes. In this case, the function of these jobs is to save the current temperature with a timestamp into the database. Making use of those logs, React will be able to display a graph of those temperatures recorded over intervals of time.
All right, so this is our web application so far. First thing I'm going to do is sign into Google. And then with this same Google account that I've just signed in with, I'm going to also sign into Nest Services with it. And this is the page where the user would set the permissions, which would allow TempWise Assistant to see information about the any Nest thermostats which are associated with this account. So now here we can see any thermostats which are associated with this account. Just ignore this. This is a PNG. This is not the actual temperature of the thermostat at this point in time. But on this page, you can see the temperature. And down here, we have a way to actually set the temperature if we want to. And later on, we'd like to implement this functionality into a sort of slider component. But right now, we're just testing the functionality with the simplest way possible at the moment, which is just a form. And this dashboard page is where any additional functionality for the application will be at, like the ability to log temperatures into a database at an interval or set the temperature at an interval. And up here, we can see the profile and log out or revoke access, which will basically delete any information that's in our databases that's tied to this user.